Okay, we're live. And I've switched the aspect here. Can you even imagine that? Let me try to adjust this a little bit for you folks out there. There we go. That's better perspective. All right, so we are live. And currently we have, we had 30, now we're down to 19. And we're just looking. I have a bunch of problems going on currently here. I cannot access this video. All right, so now we're live on Oppenheimer Ranch Project. First time we've ever done a live stream Q&A in quite a while. First time ever, I think we're doing a StreamYard live. This connectivity is, well, probably the most amazing. And we were just showing you a mirror. And we'll just go back to the other propensity. Let me see if I can even do that. Let me see if I can unmirror that. All right. I don't even know. Okay. So how the heck are you? How's everybody doing? It took me a while to set up the lighting so where we can actually do this because I'm being attacked by insects. So we'll keep that light off until I get overwhelmed. But the first thing I want to ask is, how is the audio? So please give me your thoughts on the audio. And then we'll get started. Now, this is all, we're all like testing new infrastructure here, which is good news. And I've got 41 thumbs up on the screen I'm looking at. Audio is good. Excellent. All right, so let's get started. Who farted? And the first thing I'm going to do is start sharing some screens to maybe titillate you, to bring up some topics about what's happening in the world. And the first topic we're going to talk about is a volcano. Now, this volcano has just been... Now, this is the funny thing about this volcano here in Indonesia. Raung in East Java, the volcanic alert level was dropped to green just a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago. And then they rapidly increased it back to orange level. Because, well, take a look at here at the Raung volcano eruptions in just the last few hundred years. They happen all the time, and they're quite spectacular. So Raung, which is not Agong, is one of those volcanoes that we are, well, slightly worried about. So I'm going to share you this other screen here, so that you can understand where Raung is in East Java. Right here, there's the picture. So here you can see the position of the volcano in that arc. And some of the more dangerous volcanoes are to the east of that. And that's a fact. So I just want to thank everyone. We almost have 100 people in the house, and I don't want to start taking questions until we had 100 in the house. And I want to thank you all for coming such a late hour. It's 10 p.m. Mountain Time, which is 11:12. It's midnight on Eastern. It's only 9 o'clock on the West Coast. And I don't have any employees. We have no infrastructure. In fact, we don't make any money. I am barely able to pay for the infrastructure I have to do these videos. So let's just make that clear. So there's absolutely not a single person that has worked on this channel over the last 6 years except myself. We don't have an editor. We don't have a producer. We don't have writers. It was just Diamond. And even Leah is a little upset because she doesn't really feel up to speed about what's going on here at the channel. And that's unfortunate. I love her to death. And, well, she's been trying. She does her chicken videos, but she doesn't really even follow the channel. So when she realizes how many videos I'm actually doing and what I'm doing here at the ranch, it blows her mind. So let's all implore Leah to do more work here, shall we? All right, so there's where Raung volcano is on the Indonesian archipelago. Now, if you don't know, right before the archipelago here, this is a plate margin where we have one plate, the Indonesian plate, crushing in against another plate, and we have a subduction zone. This is an entire island arc of volcanoes. The only reason the islands are there and why people can live there is because of volcanoes. So if you were to listen to all the local legends, everything would be related to a volcano. Duh. All right, let's start taking some questions. Let's do it. Over 110 in the house. And I'm just going to try to screen through here as best as I can do. And there is almost, when we do a live stream, almost no questions ever. So that's pretty funny. Dave75 says, I've been lurking on your channel for years. Hello from Northwest Oregon, not Portland. Well, thank you. Portland is your shithole. And you basically have to smoke crack or house the homeless or have multiple weapons to even be safe there. Many of the people that live near me got out of Portland. Jerome Schickler. Hi, Diamond. Yo, Joe, Pete, Connie, Jason, Jax, Carolyn, Clark. Minute to Kill. Welcome to the show. Callie Nurse. Love has been around, is a new addition to the team. Cindy Welsh, Jax, Tim Simmons, Dan B, Keith Evans, Pete Yeager. These are all mods. Grace, Tim to 3, Jason M. Schmidt, Joe Mercado. Welcome to the program. All right, let's get some questions here. Al, obviously, Tim the helper needs to get back in his hole. Varese says, hey, Tim Simmons, does my lava lamp count as being close to a volcano? No. In fact, that's more close to a physics experiment where they're just using the density of 2 substances to make an incredible thing for about $12, which, by the way, they produce for under 2. So huge profit margin there on the lava lamp. Amanda Boyle, or whatever the hell she wants to call herself this year. She's from across the pond there in the other hemisphere. For fuck's sake, she's on the other side of the entire planet. She says, New Zealand's volcanoes worry me. Well, I think I did an update on them. They're not worrisome at all. And in fact, we have some data here, which I will share with you, Amanda Berry. And let's stop this screen and let's share the new data set I have on that particular region. Now, what's been coming to me, and if I can find it, for goodness sakes, what are the odds that I will actually find this? No, the wrong video, GeoNet. Maybe it's GeoNet News. Yeah, that might be it. Okay, here. So what we have is, take a look at this. And this is coming from one of our viewers and a really good friend who emails us stuff all the time. 2 slow motion earthquakes have been taking place so far in 2022 down there across the pond. But this is on New Zealand, under the central and eastern North Island. These events are like earthquakes in slow motion. So we have 2 slow slip events happening in Manawatu as well as Hawke's Bay. Now, the good news is that these will not, hopefully, result in any large seismic activity and maybe only seeing expressions at the surface at 4 or 5 magnitude. But these are areas similar to the West Coast near Los Angeles where there could be an accident. In these slow slip fault regions, there could be a big major slip that occurs accidentally along the fault because there's no way to predict when these occur. So we could see some major activity, but there is currently slow slip activity. You could see the increase here on these graphs that have just occurred starting in maybe late June, July on the North Island. What that means to anyone is anyone's guess. This is just high resolution geologic information that I have showing slow slip activity creating crustal displacement epically. Now, if this doesn't get released in the typical slow slip manner, you know what that is? Well, that's boom time. That's when you get a 7 magnitude or greater in a highly populated area that does bad things. So that's an unfortunate thing that's currently happening right now. So that's bad news for New Zealand potentially. But right now it doesn't look bad. So it looks pretty like normal activity. So no more normal preparedness than you would actually have in New Zealand because you're living on an island right at a plate boundary. So you should be, well, ready for boom time, period. I mean, 3 years of food, an escape plan, etc. All right, let's get to a couple more questions here. And I have no way of really doing this because there's no one helping me. All right, we're going to go with the rubber mosquito here. And Al Gore is in the house. I hope so. Someone just said, Al Gore, hello. Say who? But the rubber mosquito says, do you think a catastrophe is imminent? Jen, wait you a minute. Whatever. No, we've never said a catastrophe is imminent. And what we've always said since the beginning of the channel, and we haven't reiterated it enough, because people watching the standard podcast that is talking about all the current earth science or weather events that we think are appropriate or unique, what they don't have is the background of watching all the videos for the last potentially 5 years or on the other channel. Because here we are at Oppenheimer Ranch Project. We got shut down. We had to move over to Magnetic Reversal News. Now we built both of those channels. One of them is, well, they're both very similar because I've created all the content. And so what you're going to find is a bunch of new subscribers that have no idea about the background content. They didn't watch any of those videos. So they don't know about grand solar minimum, cosmic ray increase, and epic flooding that we predicted over 5 years ago, which is happening now. They don't know about the hail cycle, 22-year solar cycle, the 11-year half hail cycle, which is 1/2 of the solar polar reversal. So a full magnetic reversal on the sun is 22 years. Each half cycle, we call it solar cycle, is 11 years. So they don't know that. They don't know that we've reached the cosmic ray maximum in the last 30 years. And we're now higher than we've been ever. And cosmic rays nucleate clouds. This is coming from the work of Seismic, which the mainstream poo-pooed and pushed against for years. And the cloud experiment at CERN proved Seismic's work. The powers that be tried to disprove us little guys, the actual scientists, using the scientific method. And guess what? They were wrong. And Seismic was right. And now his son is picking up where he left off, and he's almost retired. And so we will continue to stick the foot up the asses of the mainstream scientific Scientology religiosity narrative, or whatever the fuck they're feeding us, that we call climate change. First, we called it global warming, then climate change. Now it's climate emergency. Now it's and then. But all of this gobbledygook is starting with the hockey shtick coming from the University of Pennsylvania schmucktard. Michael Mann himself. God, I would give $1 million if I was a millionaire to just have Michael Mann on this show for 20 minutes so I could stick my foot up his ass and just ask him a few questions, which he would have no answers for. Michael Mann writes books. He reads scripts and he creates products that have nothing to do with science. And so what he did was he's like, oh my God, what are the policies? Where, how can I get famous? He is an evil fucktard. All right, I'm ranting. Let me go back here and let me answer some questions. What was the mushroom? Line in the sand says, what was the mushroom? I have no idea what the hell that means. Matilda Green says she is extremely intelligent. No idea what that is. Guys, if you have a question, you have to pose a full sentence with a subject and a verb and maybe a conclusion. So here's the problem. Social media has reduced everything to a phrase, and everyone's getting dumber. Stop becoming dumber. Let's all get smarter and write full sentences. Let's all go out at night when it's dark and look up at the sky and look at the stars. Let's all go out into nature and walk on a trail every time we have lunch. Let's do what we can to alter the plastic environment that we're all living in, the slave economy that you're stuck in as we enter recession, which is going to last at least 18 more months. Do you have enough money put away to keep feeding yourself this way and keep putting gas in your car? No, nobody does. So let's start slowing down and asking full questions to get to the nature of what we want to have answered. Can we do that? So I'm just going to scroll through all this non-questions because I haven't even, I'm looking at it now and I really don't even know what the hell anyone's saying. Marcy Lowley Riviera. She's just saying hi for $20 and she is definitely a boom. Probably from Europe. I have no idea where she's from, but she's been a fan of the channel for quite some time. And Itro Meat Primal Diet Advice. Diamond, I asked a question. Well, I have no idea what your question was because I've been reading through here and you say more detail and it's misspelled and I'm scrolling back and back and back and back. So I no idea what the hell you asked me. So either you're a liar or eat raw meat primal diet advice is garbage. Now, guys, don't eat raw meat ever, period. Regardless of what eat raw meat primal diet advice tells you. Unless you're harvesting meat in the right season within an exact time frame, you can't eat raw meat or drink. You could drink blood almost all the time. But the meat itself, depending on the temperature and the season, depending on what animal you're harvesting, could have a host of parasites that you don't want in your body. So please check your facts, get second opinions, and don't listen to idiots. All right, here's Eat Raw Meat. Hi, Diamond. Geology question for you. I want to set up my campground with a carbonated sparkling water spring. How or where do I find them? I mean, this is mind-blowing. Well, you find them on the internet. When I was in Europe, there were carbonated springs all over the countryside. And you simply had to ask the question, where can I find carbonated springs? And you could actually literally scoop bottled seltzer water out of the ground. But the majority of these places are limited and they really don't exist. So you're not going to find them easily in your region. And the majority of spring water that's carbonated is carbonated after the fact, period. So there's very few naturally carbonated springs in the world. A few I've been to, one was in Spain, and that's all I can really recall at this point. So they're not very common. The number one manufacturer of carbonated beverages, and I don't even know what the company's called, but you can make your own carbonated beverages with the system in your home. All you just need is filtered water. You put in some fruit and you go, psh. And that company is literally from Israel, I believe. Stream something. Best I can do. Marcilale Riviera. Kicking ass again. Holy crap. Just wanted to say hi now from the blue state of Lavaca, California. Holy crap. How can you afford to super chat us? I mean, it just costs how many more times just to live there? Like swimwear. All right. We appreciate each and every one of you. This is an amazing evening. The fact that the tech is working and I'm actually able to get some good lighting. This monitor, I can't adjust the brightness. It's a super huge monitor. And one of the drawbacks of these Chinese monitors is they have no brightness. So all the new big monitors are one brightness. And you can switch it if you want, but you got to go through a whole freaking protocol that we just don't have time for. All right. All right. Is everybody having fun? We got 167 in the house. It's pretty fantastic. I'm pretty happy about that. All right. True Helper says, Diamond, what inspired you to start your channel? Well, I'll tell you what happened. The story, True Helper, and a lot of people know it, but not many. A local guy here in Colorado that is part of East Coast activism, and I'm not going to mention his name because he went back into hiding. But he came over here one day and he asked to do an interview. So I took him down to the river and we talked about the grand solar minimum and why I moved here. And then a few days later, I think it was a week later, I looked on YouTube and that video had 50,000 views. And I was like, what? Because I looked at the rest of his videos and they had like 800 views. And then the dude started acting a little creepy and totally suspicious and weird. So I was like, dude, you have one option. You take the video down and you leave me alone. And then he like kind of went into hiding. And then I started the channel. And I basically redid that same video when we started the channel. Now, I didn't just go into YouTube blindly like millions of people every day, and they wonder why no one watches their videos. Because you have to have a plan. In order to run a successful business, you need a plan. Not that I'm running a business on this channel. What I'm doing is I'm providing information to the public using a business model. So the first thing you need to be successful in business, and if you want a successful YouTube channel that's not monetized, you need thousands of people to come there. That's the same as a successful business. So you need a base to approach to come look at your stuff. And so what I had done prior to that for about 10 years, prior to launching this channel and other channels, I had already developed a social media presence when they started Facebook and all that dumb shit for activism. So when I started organizing for March Against Monsanto, I had 100,000 people following me on dozens of platforms. And we had built this up over years of activism work, organizing, with politicians speaking, and on and on. And some of the most popular YouTubers, Natural News, got his start from the March Against Monsanto. He came to and still hasn't talked to me, never had a dialogue with me. The guy is such a sociopath and an egomaniac that he doesn't want to give Diamond credit for where he started. He got his start, Natural News, at my first March Against Monsanto. That's where he got famous. And he never gave me credit for organizing that event. That's why Mike Adams can suck it, in my opinion, because he's a fraud. He thinks he got famous on his own, but other people helped him. And the problem that I have is that all Mike Adams is about is monetizing conspiracy theories and selling all his garbage. And that's what's going on with Mike Adams. That's why he's never reached out to me and say, thank you, Diamond, for making me famous by organizing the March Against Monsanto in Philadelphia, where I did my first, most impressive work as a journalist. And now I've become a sellout for conspiracy theories and selling shitty products to the masses. And his social media platform, I don't even know what it's called. What is it called? Brighteon. Yeah. Boom. It hit me. Is failing just as fast as it could ever be. It will be non-existent in 5 years. Brighteon. Useless. Nothing. Except for the few people that hold on to Mike Adams and suck at his teats. And one of the reasons I don't have a supplement, or I don't do this or that or the other thing, is because most of it is garbage. And when you look into it, it's fake. Like the EMP protectors that some of the top YouTubers are selling. It's all garbage. And we were the first people to debunk it. I got engineers and NASA scientists 4 years ago to come in with the EMP surge protector and all those products that people with 500,000 viewers are selling every day. Products that they're making thousands of dollars on that don't protect them from anything. That's one of the things I want to avoid. Promoting something that is useless so that I get money. That's absolutely stupid. That doesn't only make me look stupid, it makes my channel look stupid, and it makes everyone watching the channel stupid. And there are tons of people, and I'm not going to name them, that are selling products like this that are useless, that cost a lot of money, that do nothing, that are making everyone look stupid. So that's the first problem with our alternative media platforms. So True Helper, thank you for allowing me to extrapolate at depth during this diatribe. Thinker says, I wish everyone a happy Sabbath. Be Spooky says, I'm shocked. It's even a thing to learn something new every day. Yeah. Can you imagine? And I was just watching a podcast before we started this live stream. One of my favorite podcasts. I only watch a few, and I'm not going to reveal to you what they are, but one of my favorites is Tim Pool, and I've been watching him since the beginning. I love it because I don't agree with most of the people on that show. And it's so controversial, yet they're so well behaved. And it's almost 100% the opposite of what you're being fed in the mainstream. So I love Tim for that. Plus, he started around the same time that I was organizing back in 2010. But he started even earlier as an independent journalist. I wasn't even thinking that. I just wanted to organize against capitalism, multinational corporations specifically, because once I learned about what they were doing to the world, I was a leftist then, like many people. even Tim Pool. But I was a progressive. So I was like a communist until I started. I'm a scientist too from a background. So I started learning about what I was actually fighting for. And I was like, wait a minute, this shit is all wrong. It's opposite. They're feeding us a lie. And then I became a libertarian. If you want to term what I was, I never really became that. I was always me. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that a human is allowed to change their perspective based on facts? Many people call that science, but I do digress. So in the end game, I'm where I am because of what I did and the information I learned. It's not because of disinformation. It's because of actual information. And that's what I wanted to channel based on. So like the video I just did tonight on magnetic reversal news talked about new information coming out this month on footprints that have been dated to 12,300 years old. Some of the second oldest site in North America that's being revealed scientifically to the public. And what I mean by that is there are dozens of other sites that are older that have been known that haven't been revealed. But this one happened to be on a military site with an independent scientific group that was allowed to say whatever they wanted. So now we get actual science. We get the big reveal, and it's fucking fantastic. And I love it. All right. Let's get a few more questions. We've now gone quite a bit. 31 minutes. It's awesome. Let's go another half an hour. Let's double it. No Rush is in the house. Jimmy! This is Jim Duncanson. He was our electrician maybe 5 years ago, and he moved back up into the Northeast. He now is currently wandering around the Appalachian Trail. No Rush says the economy is crashing. The fiat dollar is dead. Time to go back to the barter system. Yeah, that's true. And the good news is, Jimmy, is that precious metals are also reacting in the correct way for the first time in 10 years. And as the precious metal market and the manipulators there are now aware that we're in recession, that the inflation is going to continue to increase, so that's stagflation. So the commodities market will explode. And for all the people that bought in at silver at $13.50 3 or 4 years ago when I told them to do that, I think silver may hit $100 in 2 years. Gold could be $5,000 in 2 years. And if you didn't buy yet, now you can still get in. I think silver went to $18-19 today. There might be a quick downturn, but it is all up from here, Jimmy. And so commodities, seeds, food, long-term food storage, fire making, anything that is essential to life is the new commodity. If you have a generator, if you have backup diesel, hundreds of gallons buried in the ground, bullets, beans, and rice. And now that we have millions of people that are lactose intolerant and other shit, maybe some carbohydrate-free or non-sugar alternatives will make you a billionaire in the future. You have to think outside of the box because the empire is collapsing and our position since the beginning is the same. Nothing has changed. Based on everything that's happened, nothing has changed. We're predicting an ice age happening now, but it's geologically now, so it's not going to happen in your lifetime. 150 years from now, we could be with glaciation. 350 years from now, we could have a mile high of ice on Canada, but it's not going to happen in your lifetime. None of the movies you watch are coming true. What is coming true is the same thing we said 6 years ago. The first thing to happen is global unrest. During every grand solar minimum, they never called it that. It wasn't in the newspaper like I said, grand solar minimum causes food riots. It's only after the fact we know it happened. But now we have the data and the graphs. So now we are in the grand solar minimum. It will peak. The bottom is 2035, 2040. and we may recover, or it could go down forever and the ice will build. But in the meantime, empires fail. So what we're going to see is global unrest because governments sabotage their systems. We see it happening right now in multiple countries. Sri Lanka. They started their own global unrest by starving out the population 3 years ago. And now we have Dutch farmers and Canadian farmers. If you remove fertilizers from the equation, you have no crops. You have no yield. You lose money on the farm. Nobody wants to farm. So you have no food. Then people starve. And it's the policymakers' fault, not the farmers. Farmers can only farm if they can make money. Why would a farmer farm if he's going to go bankrupt and starve his own family? It's not going to happen. So the powers that be have set up a system where if you want to farm, you'll starve and you'll die. And if you just walk that out a few years, then they get the population reduction that they want. Now, we've been reporting on this for 6 years. People have been talking about it for 10. Agenda 2030 now is sounding a little bit real to normal people because it's actually fucking happening. I mean, Klaus Schwab has 2 books on the Great Reset, the Great Rethinking. That involves the majority of people listening to me starving to death, if he is correct. And it used to be, we were demonetized when we talked about the COVID vaccines not protecting from COVID, not preventing the spread of the vaccine. We got demonetized 3 fucking times. I lost thousands of dollars because I told you the truth and nobody was able to see the videos. We have barely like 30,000 views on all the COVID videos. And everything we said was nutraceuticals. Take these supplements and you'll survive. And I never got sick. Nobody I know that listened to me has been sick. I've been around millions of people. I'm in one of the biggest tourist towns in the world. 8 million people came through here in the last 2 years. And I went out every day to the supermarkets so that I could be exposed. And I never took the jab. I never will. Never will take any protocol ever. Infinity. I ate whole foods. I took zinc, willow, the supplements I take are micronutrients, and I eat dirt every day. Have you seen me stop producing videos because I was sick? That's one thing that we can now prove to the public. You've all been watching me now for almost 7 years. When did I take a week off because I was sick? Never! You are what you eat. Grandma was right. And I'm no idiot. I smoke cigarettes. I smoke pot. I'm inhaling smoke all day. I should have cancer and be dead. Tell you what. I turned 51 in less than 4 weeks. And I can out hike, out run, out climb, out push up, out sit up. I can outdo almost every human being on earth, except for elite athletes, because I was one of them, and I still am. I was one of the top rock climbers for decades. And I fell out of favor because I was a drunk. I was a drug addict. I'm an addict by nature. I reached a point in my climbing career where I realized I had to give up. Because the only reason I'm not dead is I came to the conclusion that I cannot be climbing anymore. It's too unsafe. I'm too much of a loser. I'm too much of a liability. I had no friends. I had no partners. No one wanted to climb with me. I was death walking. And luckily, I gave it up. But I'm getting back into climbing. I never lost the fitness, because if you're a professional climber for your whole life, you're not going to become a fat idiot. Trust me. Your metabolism is too high. And I'm back in top shape. And I have to be, because I've been sitting down making videos for 6 years. That makes anyone fat and unhealthy. So I've had to develop a protocol where I can only sit down for so long, and I have to go out there and walk 6 miles a day in between videos, or I'll just die of a heart attack, which I would have been dead already had I taken the jab. Now, my neighbor took the jab. He said he did long and hard. He studied. And he said he's going to take the J&J. Just one, because his mother's old in Arizona and he has to see her. And months later, he got shingles. And then shortly thereafter, he had a heart attack or a stroke or something, and they had to put a stent in. And that's the story of many people that listened to the medical officials and did what they were told because of the elderly in their family. This is the sad state of the world. And that's just my neighbor. If I wanted to get demonetized, I'll talk about dozens of other stories about people I know. But I can't. But you can have conversations with your friends and family. You don't need to share a video. Because if you share your personal experience with those people, guess what? It affects them. They feel it. They know that you're being truthful. And then they can decide for themselves how they may want to respond in the future. Now, Dave, 75, I never heard of this guy. He says, I just want to cook for people. Don't want to pay tax to do so. Business license is a rape. Well, Dave, you can think outside of the box. You can become an event organizer and organize events in a local park near where you live, where you're going to cook like unique food, Jamaican, Cajun, or whatever you want to do. Barbecue. It doesn't have to be that unique. Steak dinner, potato dinner, vegan dinner, and get thousands of people to come and pay for your chefery, and you never have to be a chef. You just pay taxes on the event. Because I know what you're talking about. You know, if we want to sell eggs at the farmer's market now, which is why I'm no longer at the farmer's market, I need a business license in Pagosa. I need to be certified by the FDA. I need to candle all my eggs. I need to clean them and wash them. These processes, if you do them, make each dozen of eggs based on your labor worth over $20 a dozen. So why would anyone do that? Yet people still do it. Leah works 3-4 hours a day just cleaning our farm fresh eggs, which are organic. And each of our dozen eggs is worth about $11 a dozen based on the work she does. But we sell them for $4. This is the stupidity of capitalism in the current situation, with all the regulation, all the rules. You almost go bankrupt trying to sell natural food at the farmer's market. If you want to sell natural beef or pork, it has to all be FDA cut and processed, and then your profit margin goes to zero. Where if I can just do natural homestead butchery here, I could actually make money. But it's not allowed. And then if you actually sell it in a club process, they still will come in and take you out. They just did it to some Amish farmers in Pennsylvania. Go check it out. So if you want to do what we're doing, if you want to process 1,000 pounds of pork like we just did, and you want to sell it on the down low, you can't be at the farmer's market. It's got to be friends and family and neighbors, and you have to build your network locally. And trust me, once you do that, other people are going to say, "Hi, I got some stuff that you can't get either, like raw milk. Oh, I'll give you 100 pounds of this for 100 gallons of that." And now we have an underground alternative system of living. It's being developed all over the country, all over the world right now. Some areas, it's never not been developed. This is the normal way to work. Al Gore says Mavstar is getting worse. Well, I can't imagine he's getting better. He doesn't have any more education, so. Frozen World says, Oppenheimer Ranch, what kind of changes would we see if the magnetic excursion was in full effect? Well, it is in full effect, but it's a process. And so it's a downward curve that's going straight down. And so what we see is evolutionary effects, people changing. So we can see people changing right now. We're going to see environmental effects, climate changing, which we're seeing right now. We're going to be seeing weather effects, major weather effects, which we're seeing right now. So that's what we're going to be seeing. And it just happens continuously for decades until massive populations in the species die off and new species raise up. And we're seeing that now. But what's interesting is that the powers that be are forcing it faster than normal with these vaccines. And now we're going to see food shortages. So in a few years, I can see 50 million people dying from starvation. Remember back in the 70s when the Ethiopians were dying? Same thing is happening now. So it's not going to be Ethiopia starving. It'll be other third world countries that can't get grains because they don't exist, or they're all stuck in Ukraine because the U.S. made it happen. And that's another thing I want everyone to know. The United States is responsible for all of this. Currently, Joe Biden, no one else. Vladimir Putin has nothing to do with this. It's because the U.S. got involved that those grain supplies got shut off. It's because of NATO, the European coalition that's going to protect the world, that is going to cause tens of millions of people to starve, not Russia. No matter what the media publishes, they're lying. CNN, ABC, NBC, all of those media outlets, MSNBC, all paid for and owned by the same people. And yet, when I call them out, I have to wake up in the morning to dozens of comments that are telling me that I'm the bad guy. It's me. Diamond is terrible. He's a horrible person. He's going to go to hell. But I don't make up fake news stories. I expose them. I don't make up fake science. I report on it, and I report on the real science. So this is the cabal now that is developed to take out people like me and other independent media sources, because we are the enemy now. So we're now all targets of being assassinated, for fuck's sake. No Rush says he's got 7.3 acres up in Vermont or somewhere near there with a river Monsanto knows nothing about. Yeah, but I know your diet, Jim Duncanson, and so you're not doing your body any favors eating Pop-Tarts or whatever the fuck you were eating when you were back down here. All right. Jackie Flowers says, I went to a Monsanto protest in Aberdeen as the Grim Reaper. Well, we had a lot of Grim Reapers. No rush. Carbonated beverages are the most of your concern, because if you just, I want you all to just research what carbonated beverages do to your body. If you're going to drink seltzer water before you eat dinner, the CO2 is going to get in your stomach and prevent nutrient uptake in that food. So you never want to drink carbonated beverages before a meal or even slightly after a meal. These are for between meals only. So if you want to drink seltzer, only do it between meals, 2 hours before and after. Because the carbon dioxide in a carbonated beverage after you eat a fantastic meal is going to prevent nutrient uptake in the stomach lining and then the early intestines after that. If you want to get thin, drink a seltzer water during your meals. You picking it up? None of this information is coming out from diet sites or any of the people selling you products, because these are the facts that are from scientific papers. You don't want to drink carbonated beverages, especially seltzer water, before and during a meal, because it's going to prevent nutrient uptake, unless you want to prevent nutrient uptake. Woot woot, can be. Falana Stanford, who's Mike Adams? Am I under a rock? Well, not really, unless you're not into alternatives media sources, because he's one of the top guys. He created Brighteon. I don't even know if I'm getting that right, by the way. He invented BitChute too, probably, yeah. No, I think BitChute is a European thing, but don't quote me on that. I don't know anything about that. BitChute has not, I've been putting up videos there for years. I have just a few thousand subscribers there. Never put anything on Brighteon because it's such garbage, just to begin with. When you go over and look at what's over there. And it's basically Mike Adams selling supplements. It's not an alternative. It's not an alternative anything. It's Mike Adams selling products. So that's what's happening there. That's why it's so tiny. Nobody knows what the fuck I'm talking about. Rumble, different thing. Holy macaroni. We got some traction there. I got 6,000 subscribers on Rumble. I barely do anything. I put 3-minute videos up that are funny. You could put up any hilarious comedic thing, say whatever the fuck you want on Rumble. Nobody cares. Nothing has ever been taken down that I've ever said there. So big thumbs up to Rumble. Getting some traction, a lot of people watching over there. So that is an actual platform that I can see in 3 years that may take over YouTube or these other platforms. Al Gore, don't get the tea. It's way too expensive. Tim Simmons says the only fans I got are the ones I bought from Walmart. Yeah, and they're cheap and they break every year, so you have to buy another one, Tim. The rubber mosquito is say, why you my go-to guy? I don't know. Why you my go-to guy, rubber mosquito? No Rush says, Diamond started the march against Monsanto. I did in Philadelphia, not around the world. That was a process with a bunch of organizers in 2011. Whoever started that is the same person that's responsible for the internet. So I think it's Al Gore. Old microwave ovens equal Faraday cage. Patrick Bellamar, you couldn't be more truthful. So if you have a broken microwave and someone's throwing it out, you see microwaves thrown out on the side of the road, the cheap $100 joints, grab them. These are Faraday cages. They don't need to be plugged in. In fact, rip the plug off. Just use the box. So that's really good information. Old microwave ovens are Faraday cages. They're low-level Faraday cages. So after you put the products in there and you close the door, I would wrap the whole thing in aluminum foil and maybe copper mesh, and then put it in another Faraday cage. And you will have a super double Faraday cage, period. Jason Schmidt says dabs, not jabs. And we could not implore more. So we'll just dab up. This is just natural tobacco from Colorado. That's all it is. True Helper says, I know Tim Pool. He's a good man. I agree. Albeit I don't agree with half of the shit that comes out of his mouth and almost nothing that Ian says, but not a single one of them will come on my show. He just had Ben Stewart over there. One of my heroes early in the day. Ben Stewart has never even responded to a single email I sent to him. So if he doesn't believe in what you're talking about, he doesn't want to have a conversation with you. So that I have a little problem with Ben Stewart, Ben Joseph Stewart. So hopefully I've reached out back to Ben Joseph Stewart. Maybe he wants to have a dialogue with me, but he's apparently way too more informed than Diamond is. So there's some people that have a ego complex that I just can't get over, that if they don't agree with your politics or things that you've said in the past, that they just won't even dialogue with you. Either that or they're too scared for their own persona that you could crush it. I mean, I have a lot of information, and there's certain people that if they want to come on the show that I would embarrass them, like Dutch Synths, like Dane Wigington. These are people that I've offered to come on this show for 6 years and nothing. Because they got a thing, they got a shtick. They're making tons of money. If I debunk them or make them look like an idiot, they feel threatened. Now, they shouldn't be threatened by the people paying them. The people that give Dutch Synths money, even if I make them look like an idiot, those idiots will still give Dutch Synths money, and so on and so forth. So there really is no threat. It's more an egoic threat where their ego will be hurt because I might say things that make them look dumb because they are. Ben Joseph Stewart, not one of those people. Dutch Synths, yes. Mav Star, I've had him on the show a bunch of times. Now, trust me, if he ever came on the show ever again, it would only be to end his channel because I don't want to talk to him about anything because the guy is just, well, he's a charlatan and he's full of shit. So there's not really nothing much to discuss there. The Rubber Mosquito says, thank you for planting plants, helping communities, and marching millions of miles. But we don't do that anymore, but we implore people to grow their own food and to be self-sufficient and self-reliant and to build a network, a community around themselves where you network with your neighbors. You all start working together to be self-sufficient and to actually get off the machine. That's the whole point here. Get off of the machine. And so if the machine fails, the grid goes down. You're like, oh, we don't have to go to town. We just have to all network. Let's go see what she's got. Let's go do that. Let's make a plan. And then you implement it immediately. What happened to CF Jingara? CF Jingara is fine. He had a terrible few years. Multiple people in his network died. I think his sister died. His parents died. And it's just been tragic. With all the shutdowns and all the restrictions, he's been put in such a place and then have that type of, well, hardship in your life with all the people that you rely on dying and no one respecting you because you made a decision to not get jabbed or whatever. Look, if you're in Australia and you decide not to take the jab, you've become like a dirty conspiracy theorist fucktard and everyone hates you. And now CF Jingara is also gay. You're gay and you don't want to take the jab? Well, you're nobody. So can you imagine the types? These are epic things that are folding down on you. But I can all assure you, boom, good news. CF Jingara is 100. I mean, he just got in contact with me. We've been having a dialogue over the last year. He's coming back. He's met somebody. He's got a new partner. They're working on the ranch. They're cleaning it up. Maybe. Don't quote me. But CF himself has told me things are good. We're going to be doing some videos. And he is self-sufficient and self-reliant. Basically, he can live off what he's growing there, and everything is looking amazing. So we're going to get CF on the show really soon, but everything is a boom there at the Jingara, as far as I know. When are we going to flip? There's going to be no flip of anything, Jackie Flowers. There's no pole flip going on. Our rotational pole has been constant for ever, as far as we can tell. So the planet never flips. Regardless of what Ben Davidson, the CIA, or anyone else wants you to fakely believe, there is no flipping going on. The magnetic pole is shifting, and there may be a small geomagnetic jerk at an event that may cause a shift like that. See that? You know, when you're really drunk and you go, oh my God, I can't get up. Oh, I can't close my eyes. Oh my God. Oh my God. You know that like spinning feeling? Yeah, that might happen for a day or so. And that could make some bad things happen. But certainly no oceans washing around. No Doug Vogt ocean washes. Adam and Eve story, garbage, gobbledygook. That's why it was 32 pages. It doesn't have any information. Can you imagine a 32-page pamphlet is really the whole story of the world? Please, if you think a 32-page pamphlet called the Adam and Eve story that I bought a copy of for $22 before it went to $2,000 is really the scientific information about the history of the world, you might as well be a flat earther. Yeah. So the one thing, and we're going to end it tonight with this, the one thing you got to worry about that we've said forever and ever and ever, and it is the truth, is global unrest and famine and failure of the empire. That happens first, before the solar flare. The solar flare could make it happen, but the powers that be know about this information, and they're going to force the first hand before the second. So before the flare takes us out, inflation, recession, starvation, lack of food, lack of products, lack of internet, lack of everything, lack of water, lack of electricity. It's going to slowly cull the population. It's happening right now before your very lives. Everyone's complicit. Not a single fucking person on the street cares about it. No one's protesting about it. Globalism is occurring as we speak. Joe Manchin just switched. We're about to get the great reset through the Green New Deal, which means that the entire planet in 50 years will be covered in toxic waste. because of battery production, photovoltaics, wind turbines, things that can't even provide the necessary electricity on the planet. They're providing less than 10% of it. Yet we continue to make millions of electric cars that cost $70,000 that die in 5 years if you use them full time. And you can't even replace the battery. It costs more than the entire car. So the car doesn't pay for any of itself. When a diesel truck like I bought 10 years ago has already paid for itself mile per mile, it's only it cost me about 3 cents a mile at this point. And I'm going to take it out to another 400,000 miles. It's got 200,000. I'm going to bring it to 400,000 miles. And in the end, that diesel truck that I've been driving for 10 years now, and I drive for 20, will cost 1 cent a mile. When an electric car costs $1 a mile. Right now, $7 per mile when the battery goes dead. As opposed to 1 cent per mile in my diesel truck. Super Duty F250, which runs about 60,000 new. Same as an electric car. Electric car expires at $1 per mile. A diesel truck at the same cost expires at 1 cent per mile. Are you fucking kidding? Are you drinking the Kool-Aid? The maths I just gave you are real. No one on the planet wants to talk about it. We should all go back to diesel vehicles because of what I just said. And the rain has just picked up here. I want to thank all 200 people for watching live. Didn't get a lot of good questions tonight. But we talked about a lot of good concepts. And you always titillate me to go deeper than I ever wanted to go. So everything I know, I share right from the cuff. I don't have a teleprompter. I can't even figure out how to fucking look at the questions. No one is helping me. I do this all on my own. So hopefully you can realize the pressure that's on my end. Well, that I've been able to quell because I just don't care. The purpose of living is enjoying life. And if you don't have that opportunity, then something is wrong with the system. And we need to fix it. And hopefully, you set yourself up in a position for maximum efficiency as the shit falls down into a hole. That's boom. Be safe.